will not do this thing if I lose this fight.
You got to be more specific. You got to be more specific because it's got to be actually hurting people that I care about.
Yeah, well, let's make the assumption that they are.
That's not the same thing how my brain works. I just don't care. Like I'm just gonna be like, look, there's bad people in the world. There's always gonna be bad people in the world. If we fought everyone who did this that was wronging us, we would just fight all the time. And I have better things to do with my time and my day. And I also want to set an example for my boys and my daughter and my wife. Like we don't want to just fight we want to protect the weak, but not necessarily fight for the sake of fighting.
No, I agree. I'm trying to create a scenario here where it is defending and not just fighting for the sake of fighting. But
that's why I don't really care so much about the Dimitri Lee fight, because I don't see the connection.
You don't see the connection? You don't think that? It seems to me from what Dimitri's been putting out that he seems to see his involvement in this as defending people that have been scammed, that have been hurt.
I agree with what he's doing online with YouTube. He's actually injuring Lee in a positive way to help people that were damaged by Lee. So he's defending the weak, which I love. But the physical fight doesn't actually translate in my mind, because it's just that becomes an individual experience. Like you're damaging. Yeah, there's people that, Lee's said a bunch of bad stuff. I'm sure Dimitri has said something that's been disrespectful, but that's not the same. Those are two different scenarios in my mind. If it's something that he wants to do personally, then I do it, support it.
I mean, I feel like there's something deep down in our DNA. There's something symbolic about physical conflict. And it's like, I feel like it does represent something. I feel like that my perspective on the Dimitri Lehigh fight is that there is significance there, and there is something symbolic. It will if Lehigh challenged, I believe Lehigh challenged Dimitri, from my understanding,
multiple times.
Multiple times.
He just never expected him to.
If Dimitri's backs down from that, it doesn't accept it. That does, like it or not, undermine Dimitri's arguments and ability to attack him online, because there will be a portion of people who might have been affected by what's being posted in those videos that are then going to discount what Dimitri is saying because, Dimitri was too chicken to take that fight, right? Even if it's subconscious, right? It's not necessarily even a conscious thing. Whereas on the other side, Dimitri, even if he loses, just being willing to step into that ring lends a lot of legitimacy. And again, I don't even think it's necessarily a conscious thing. I just think that it's deep down in our DNA that we have a greater respect for someone who's willing to step into that physical conflict to stand up for what they believe. I see something there that's meaningful and symbolic, even if it's like, so I don't know. That's where I see the connection, because you're talking about the connection. That's where I see the connection.
Because I know Dimitri pretty well, my level of respect for him does not increase or decrease by him going into a fight. It's an entertainment thing for me. Yeah, I want to see him destroy Lee from an entertainment perspective, but from the roofing industry, it doesn't matter to me. And his impact for making a positive impact for the roofing industry doesn't change in my mind whether he wins or loses. He is still going to put out the same. He's a very disciplined individual. He's going to train harder than Lee will ever train. He's going to be very focused. He's going to be unemotional, and he's most likely going to win because Lee's going to get emotional about it. And that's fine. That's great. Dimitri will win. It'll be fun to watch that. It will be fun, but that's the extent of it. That one
in your perspective.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, well, let's move on. So let's talk about this is a big shift, but we wanted to talk about it today. Talk about the actually, it's not entirely a shift, because I feel like a lot of the stuff around Lee Height is around paying his past sales reps. A lot of those people that were scammed were people that worked for him as sales reps. So like with that in mind, what do you feel? So there's this common model, right? It's the 10, 10, 10, or how is it right
Called
now?
10 50 50.
10, 50, 50. Yeah. So, oh, yeah. 10% goes to overhead and then you split the rest.
The profit.
How it works?
Yeah, the profit 50 50.
You split the profit 50, 50. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what is your thoughts on that? Like, what are your thoughts on that as a model for paying sales reps?
This is a super common topic. I've had a lot of discussions about this. So it's not something I probably had 20 conversations about this. So DT Roofing, Randy Hurtado is super well respected. He runs this model to my knowledge, and it's very successful. I'm fairly certain they're north of 20 million for all 5 businesses. He does it really well. There's very few people that can do that. Long term, you can do it short term, maybe 1 season or 2 seasons, but for the most part, people don't know their numbers well enough that they should not be modeling their sales reps getting paid like that.
Do you think that's an issue with so are you saying, and you think that's an issue with the model, or is it that they don't track their numbers? Is it the model is good if you have amazing tracking of your numbers, or is it like is there a deeper problem with the model, or is it just that people don't track their numbers?
There's not a deeper problem with the model necessarily. So you can look at a lot of different data factors with like cost of living, average job size, average gross profit per job that you're splitting up. If also like size of the business, amount of overhead, is the overhead really 10% or is it more than 10%? Like there's nothing necessarily wrong with the model, but in general, most people are not going to be basically qualified to use that model. Or should be using that model. I would put my own business in that category. You have to be at a certain revenue stream for based on how much your cost of living is, how many. Another huge thing is revenue per capita. So how much revenue you're producing per person that's not an installer in your business. There's a lot of factors going on that make it not a good model for most people's roofing business in general, because there's so many variables that people don't actually know.
Yeah. Do you feel like, so this is like maybe a little insight into how you and I talk about day to day. We're going to do a little bit of this recorded. So this is what happens. This is exactly what happens. John talks about an issue in his business or something that's not working the way he wants it to. And that's not specifically what he's saying right now, but you're saying that you can't make this 50-50 model or 50-50-10 model work in your business because you just don't have that level of tracking in your business and you feel like it's safer not to. Now, let me ask you this. Do you feel like we could make changes or improvements to ProLine to when it comes to the business analytics piece and the number tracking inside of ProLine to give you the numbers that you need to run that 10-50-50 system and have it be better than what you're doing now?
I think this is coming down to more of a philosophical approach too. There's not just the data part of things, it's more the philosophical thing. So like if you have a sales rep who's taken it from cradle to grave, as they say, so they're handling the entire job, I can see giving someone 10-50-50 split. That's going to be somewhere. I mean, most people's profit margins